We are very happy to say that Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson is still with us. Her new memoir, I Can't Get Over This Title, is Lovely One. I love it so much. I love the cover, too. You're wearing my favorite color, yellow. The title comes from the meaning of her given names. We're so glad that you are still here. Truthfully, we wouldn't let you out the door. But I want to go back to right before the break where we were talking about how do you prepare for 19-hour days. Because at one point in the book, you write that you were clerking for Stephen Breyer, a Supreme Court justice. You said you had to bring your A game every single day.
That's right.
That it was high pressure.
That's right.
The stakes were high. I wonder if you felt like that as you were preparing for this 19-hour days.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the kind of thing where you want to do a really good job and you are getting information from all sorts of people about how to perform under these circumstances, and you're talking to senators when you're going to a confirmation hearing, and you're doing all sorts of things.
Did you feel you had no room for error, Justice?
Oh, absolutely.
Jackson? Did
absolutely.
you? Yeah.
The eyes of the nation are on you as you're going through this process, and you want to do a good job.
One of the things is, as I watched you sitting so poised with taking the incoming, I was very touched by Cory Booker's time with you, because he said, I don't want to ask questions, I just want to talk about you.
Yes.
And your journey and the grit and the grace and what it took for you to get here. What did that mean to you? I got welled up at home watching it. I was very touched by that moment.
Well, I was so grateful for the moment of not having to answer any questions. And of course, all the wonderful sentiments that he laid out during his time. I started to cry, which I shouldn't have done, but it was so moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes tears are very appropriate, as you know. You know what got me teared up was a shot of your daughter, Layla.
Yes.
She's sitting there, the look on her face, and on your husband Patrick's face, the way the family was looking at you. Look at Layla. She's just sort of turned to the side. It was such a moment of pride. When you didn't see the picture in that moment, but when you saw that picture, what did you think? It seemed to say so many things to me.
Well, it did, and so many people came up to me and talked about how that picture had moved them. I put that picture in the book.
Yeah, I saw it.
Talk a little bit about my relationship with both of my daughters, including Layla, and how I realized how proud she was of me, which was a wonderful feeling.
But I have to say, my favorite section would be all things Patrick. Patrick, we should say, is in the studio today. Because Patrick believed and Patrick knew that this was going to happen for you. Talk about somebody who believed in you in the very beginning.
He did.
But I love the backstory of your meeting, because I tell you, I already see the movie. But you met him because he was a white student who was participating in taking down the Confederate flags.
And we were in a class together called The Changing Concept of Race in America.
Yes.
And we met each other, we were friends, we were friendly, we weren't dating or anything, but over time we really started to develop a friendship, and I started to like him, but I didn't tell anybody.
Well, it was always sort of, he's my friend, and even your friends were like, what's going on with this dude? But then it gets very serious, and comes the moment to take you home. Now, he comes from a very privileged background, it seems in the book. And you were worried about meeting his family for the first time. Yes.
I mean, I was just nervous about the whole scenario. My parents had grown up in the South in segregation, and, you know, this was an interracial relationship, which was unusual.
Was
much
that
more
scary
so
to you, an interracial relationship?
It was, and certainly one with someone who had such a different background than I did. It was sort of like hard to think about how this was going to happen. But I wanted my parents to trust me, and
I know, but your parents said, we trust you, we trust Patrick, but this is America.
That they did say that.
Your dad said that.
My dad did say that, and eventually, you know, they realized that we were right for each other, that we shared a lot of the same values.
But this was the thing that got me with Patrick. You're getting ready to meet the family. You're not sure how it's going to go. And what did he say to you?
He said, he said a couple things, but at one point he said, I choose you, because I was worried that, you know, his grandmother had promised to pay for his medical school. And I was worried that it might mean that when she found out about me, she wouldn't do it. And he said, even if I have to take a job or do something else, I choose you.
I choose you. What did that mean to you?
Oh, it was it was pretty extraordinary.
Oh, I know. I melted. And the other thing that I really love, you're walking across Harvard campus.
Yes.
A black woman is approaching you.
Yes.
You don't know her.
No.
And she says just one word that I thought was life-changing.
Well, I was feeling really depressed at the time. You know, so many freshmen go through the, imposter syndrome.
Yeah, you weren't sure you belonged at Harvard.
I was not sure. You know, I'd come from a big public high school, and here I was in this place. And this woman passed me on the path, and she leaned over and she said, persevere. And then she kept going. And I was like, wow, and it just really stuck with me and started to change my view of what I was doing there.
And now that you are an official Supreme Court Justice of the United States, is it everything you hoped or thought it would be? Do you still like the job, Justice Jackson?
It is such an honor to do this work. I'm so privileged to have the opportunity to serve in this way and very grateful.
Well, you should know so many people are cheering you on. We don't normally have, Secret Service agents in the studio. People who normally aren't even at work at this time are here because we all wanted to see you and pay our respects. And I'll see you tonight at the Apollo.
Yes,
We're doing
ma'am.
a Q&A. And you're doing Stephen Colbert.
I am.
Wow.
I am.
You got a busy day.
I do.
You got a busy day. Eat your Wheaties.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.